appreciate everybody. I also appreciate the citizens in the residence halls who had a really challenging situation on Sunday evening and handled it very well. And I just appreciate all of those folks, and keep each other safe and keep us updated when you see things that don't seem right to you. Following up on a few things that have already happened and or are continuing to happen. We did have our 2-day board meeting the 15th and 16th of February, and that was followed, the first evening was followed by the president's reception in Gilbert. I think for any of you who attended, and I'm looking at a lot of the participants here, I see a number of you who also attended the reception. I think it was a wonderful evening. It was nice to get together and just have conversation and communication with each other. I appreciate all the hard work that went into that event. Tim Seidel and Lori Barrett and their team, as well as Kimberly Newman, Sodexo provided amazing food and refreshments. So I appreciate all those that helped make that event really successful. Also appreciate the students who came and performed for us. I think we can all agree that if we could just sit and listen to our students perform all day, it would be a great day. So thank you to all of those folks. Wanted to update you a little bit in terms of the work around enrollment management. We did, as you know, a couple of months ago, had some organizational changes. Just an update that work is ongoing. We are hosting a number of what we are calling recruitment and retention summits. Those have brought in a variety of people, and we're looking very closely at really the full funnel from really lead generation all the way through to when they become a student. And now we are starting the next summits. Really, we'll be looking at that retention and completion angle. So that work is ongoing. I greatly appreciate all of the enrollment management directors. There's a handful of them who have been involved in every single summit. They come to the table willing to work and collaborate, and I appreciate them all. So thank you to all of you who've been involved in that work, and more work to come. In terms of kind of on the financial side of the house, we are in the process. Leanne Case, our AVP for finance, has been working hard with the budget and planning committee. This is the time of year where the budget process, we now start to refine all of the requests that have come in, and we start to share those requests out with budget and planning. In fact, I think they get their first look at the budget requests for next year this week, Thursday, I believe. In addition, budget and planning serves as our tuition advisory committee on campus, and so various tuition proposals will start to come forward, and the budget and planning group will evaluate those and make some recommendations. This is a big chunk of work that takes a number of meetings. We will also be hosting to a student forum specifically to talk about tuition setting for next year. All of it eventually culminates in the May Finance and Administration Committee meeting, where the committee will make a recommendation to the full board, and the board will take the tuition and budget decisions at their last meeting of the year in May. So that work is underway. If you would like more information, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Leanne. You could also reach out to any budget and planning committee member. They're very closely tied up in that process, and it's a lot of work. So I appreciate the work they've done so far, and their year just gets busier from here on out. So thank you to the budget and planning committee. I'm just going to list out some events that are happening just to make sure you're aware. If you're not aware, both the men's and women's basketball competed in the semifinals of the CCC tournament this past weekend. Men's basketball made it to the championship for the first time in 12 years. And they finished as the second seed in the regular season and second place in the CCC tournament. And tonight, women's basketball takes on Lewis and Clark State for the championship. That game is at 5:30 in Quinn. So if you can make it and feel like cheering on the women's basketball team, I know they would appreciate the support. And while you're in Quinn, you can also, I hope you can check out the Native Sport exhibit that's in Quinn, focusing on our Native American athletes, and it also highlights some regional tribal members. So take the time to get over to Quinn if you can this evening. This weekend and next, we have another EOU theater production, Next to Normal. And those, I believe, are on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, both weekends. So also a great way to spend your time over in the theater. Baseball and softball have home games Friday and Saturday this week and more throughout the month. And lacrosse has a home game on the 25th. So there's multiple activities you can check out. Oh, and lastly, the area high school art exhibit is currently open in Nightingale. So if you want to take a look at what some of our local high school artists have been working on, that exhibit is running in Nightingale. So that's kind of the list of events, and I know there are so many, and I hope I didn't overlook any, but so much happening on campus, and I think it's the time of year where maybe most of us are a little tired of winter and ready for spring and ready for longer days. And I encourage you to get out and take in some of these events. I know that when I'm able to especially connect with our students and watch our students perform, whether on the court or in the theater, it's refreshing for me, and it's a great reminder about why we work here and why we do what we do. So I hope you can join at least some of those events. Check them out. Lastly, for me, and then I will stop talking after this. I've been thinking, and I have been involved in a number of conversations with various people across campus. And actually, when I think about those conversations, it's been kind of every different employee group has been represented. I've had the conversation with some classified staff, with some faculty, with some APs, and there's a theme that's really surfacing that I've been trying to focus in on and generate some new ideas around. I don't think it's a surprise or shocking to anyone to tell you that COVID really pulled us apart. Because we were responding to the pandemic, we lost a lot of what I consider EOU tradition, EOU community, and we're not the only ones. This has happened everywhere. In fact, Kimberly shared with me an article the other day about how so many organizations are trying to get back to the sense of community they had prior to the pandemic, and trying to recreate or rebuild or re-implement some of the traditions that meant so much. And I've been thinking a lot about that. I've been at a few events where I do feel that people are enjoying being back together. The events are becoming more and more well attended, and people that I have witnessed are sincerely just enjoying the interaction with each other. So I'm challenging myself to think about ways that I can help build more community on our campus, maybe reestablish some of those practices that had to stop because of COVID, and we just, for some reason, haven't got them back into play. And I want to hear from you about your ideas. I already have a few ideas that people have given me, and I'm just throwing this out there. Reach out to me and let me know your ideas. Your ideas around building community, your ideas around EOU traditions that maybe you would like to see come back. Maybe you aren't from EOU, you're a newer member of our community, and you've seen some things be really successful in past places. Please send those to me as well. I'm sincerely interested in this. What I've always loved about EOU is the sense of community. And I do think it's been lacking since the pandemic. So I am making it a goal of mine to try to look for opportunities to build community. And lastly, I would say build community as well as celebrate our successes. We spend most of our time focusing on what we haven't fixed yet, or what we still need to do, or gaps or challenges where we know we need to get better. And all of that work is very important. But what I think we often miss is celebrating where we're seeing success. And so I'm really looking for ideas on how to do that better and to take time to celebrate our successes, because we deserve to do that. So this is just a wide open invitation to send me your thoughts and suggestions around this topic. Otherwise, you're gonna leave me up to my own devices, which could be scary. No, I am gonna start thinking about how to implement some ideas, and I would just love to hear from you all on those topics. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Richard.
All right, thank you, Laura. Yeah, just for my 2 cents on that, I know everyone had to push themselves really hard to make it work through the pandemic. And, you heard the term all the way through, the new normal. I don't think anyone wants our permanent new normal to be like it was when we were going through the pandemic. So I encourage you to take a few minutes and think of some fun things we can do at EOU that help us come back together. And I agree with Laura that it seems people are beginning to look forward to getting back together again and showing up at events. And so now's the time for us to stay ahead of that and recreate that community here at EOU. My second comment is just a thank you to the incident response team. We've seen from the event this last weekend, EOU's not immune from things happening once in a while. But what I'm proud of is the plans that have been put together and how they get executed when something goes wrong. And I think everybody did their job and it was handled as well as it could be handled. So thanks to the team for that. So I'll start my update with an update on the presidential search. First thing I can say is if you ever want to know the history of the search or where we're at right now, there's a page in our EOU website where you can see news articles and see who's on the search committee and what's occurred so far. I can tell you that to date, we have 30 plus candidates in the pool, which is really good because we haven't gotten real close to the deadline yet for applications, and there's usually a whole bunch more that come in then. So there's a pretty high level of interest. Summit, the company that we hired to work with us on the search, is saying they're impressed with the number of applications. They said that they've gotten some good feedback about our reputation at Eastern Oregon University and our financial stability. Also, several people have commented on their interest in a rural area. So I think that's fascinating. So the next thing that will happen will be narrowing down those applications to a pool of candidates that the search committee will interview, and then it'll go from there. You can see the rest of the process on the website. So probably enough said about that. From an external perspective, the foundation board met last week. They continue to make it their top priority, scholarships for our students, along with working on major gifts to support new projects at EOU like the baseball complex. The Alumni Association is meeting this week, and they're going to start to make their plan for homecoming 2023. I'll mention one other thing about the foundation. A friend of mine, Dr. Chuck Hoffman, who has actually attended EOU, contacted me a couple of months ago. He's a member of the Eastern Oregon Coordinated Care Organization, and he was talking about the shortage of the behavioralist workforce in our area. And so working with Tyler and I and Chuck, we were able to put together a presentation for the Eastern Oregon Coordinated Care Organization, and they have pledged for scholarships beginning this next year for our master's program in social work. I think that's interesting from two perspectives. First, there may actually be scholarships to undergraduates as part of this, and we have a lot of scholarships for undergraduates, but there'll also be scholarships for students in the master's cycle. which is not so common. If any of you have college age students, you know, once you get your bachelor's degree, it's hard to get scholarships for moving on from there. So we appreciate that. And he has made some initial comments and commitments about, you know, more significant gift in the future along these same lines. So let's talk about the trustee board for a minute from the standpoint of nominees. If you walk down the hall on the second floor here, you might see 4 empty slots on the pictures of everybody on the board. So we've made a concerted effort to get applications from the business industry and education around the region. We had some really good staff for the staff position we have, and those have been submitted to the governor's office for approval. And there'll be another round next month. I think there's another deadline for applications, but we expect to have another 6 or 7 good applicants to fill slots on the board. Speaking of boards, the director of the Higher Ed Coordinating Commission, Executive Director Ben Cannon, called me about a month ago, and he is interested in, for the first time, having a member of the HEC Commission be truly from Eastern Oregon. Bend is as close as they've gotten in the past. And so this is a really good thing. And so we're working with our legislators and others to come up with names. You all are welcome to contact me if you have ideas. And because we're going to push this forward to make sure we do get that kind of representation on the HEC Commission, which could help us with other things. So I think those are the main things I wanted to talk about. I will turn it back over to Jeff.
Thank you, Laura and Richard. I'd like to now turn it over to Tim Seidel, for VP of University Advancement, to go through our legislative updates.
Thanks, Jeff. So we're in week 6 of the session. There are currently around 3,000 bills out there that have to make their way through the system or be dropped off. We're tracking around 1,000 of those for possible impacts on higher education. And that could range from anything having to do with K through 12 or teacher education prep programs, how it affects our College of Education, up to how we manage our capital construction projects, to up to and certainly not leaving behind like things like governance and of course our budgets and all that. Right now, people are feeling somewhat good about the economy because the economic forecast is up, saying that we're going to have around a $700 million plus up for the state budget this year. However, the economists caution that with concerns around a potential downturn, right? And what goes up must come down. They're concerned about a recession potentially coming on, which would then greatly impact the ability to drive revenues for the state. And we're always in a strange situation because we're largely income tax driven. And that means we don't have a lot of those flexible resources like you see through sales tax. So cautiously optimistic, we may see some additional spending, but probably in a smaller area, and then holding on to some of those funds for rainy days going forward. However, the Oregon Public Universities, together, we are continuing to advocate for a total public university support funding package of $1.05 billion. That is a number that really helps us roll up all of our costs going forward and helps us try to reduce or eliminate significant increases in tuition to students. So that's something we work on an ongoing basis, whether we're here or in Salem, and all the conversations that Richard and I and others are having. There's also another good indicator that we saw in the governor's recommended budget. Governor Kotek put in a $15 million line really for the technical and regional universities for sustainability work. This is a very good sign from the governor regarding the value of the technical and regional universities. And those are the technical regional universities, or TRUs, as we refer to ourselves, are the schools at, Oregon Tech, Southern, Western, and Eastern Oregon universities. And we're working with the governor's education advisor and Ben Cannon with the Higher Ed Coordinating Commission on details around that, but we've already had some very good meetings. And we're also working towards building some coalitions amongst our universities and all of our partners at the universities to support and advocate for these resources going forward. Because as you might guess, it's really important to have those kinds of resources for the universities because it can go a long ways. We're always looking at how we could utilize resources better for our institutions, what we can invest in to help drive sustainability. And that's really where the governor wants us to focus on is how do we use those resources to drive sustainability. Some bills I'll go through here that are kind of the top of the list that folks are working on right now. But it also say, if you have any questions about any specific bills you've heard about in any of your circles and you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email and ask, hey, Tim, what about this bill? I heard there's some bill out there about whatever, something like a fun one like House Bill 2824, which would require the HEC to conduct a study to determine the appropriate rate of return that the state should receive from patents. So if you want to talk about that, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. So we can go there. I'll stop there. I know President Shavs had something maybe he wanted to add.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Tim. I just wanted to say that the meetings with the TRUs presidents has been refreshing. We're all relatively new except for the president of Oregon Technical Institute, Nagy, and everyone has a spirit of, okay, this time around, let's go forward to HEC in the legislature in a united fashion whenever possible. I mean, there's always going to be some level of competition that evident, works its way into the system. But so far, we have been really all on the same page. We're all, as it happens, first generation graduates, which is kind of unique for 4 true university presidents. And we've been able to, I don't think we have any of the history that might, drive some wedges between our universities. So even on the call today with the governor's office and HEC regarding that 15 million, we were all on the same page. The governor's office was very positive about what we proposed as far as how the funds might be divided. We're moving forward with that. Keep in mind, this is not finalized. It's in the budget, but the legislature hasn't, approved the budget yet. So we'll continue to push for that. But I think that our goal is going to continue to be, our intention is if we come together and go forward to the legislature and the governor's office united, we're all going to get more benefit out of it than if we are individually trying to divide up the nickels. So I really appreciate that relationship from all the presidents. Thanks.
Sure. And we do continue to work together. All the universities work closely together. We meet multiple times a week, but also the technical and regional university government relations folks meet on a regular basis. Again, we also meet a couple times a week to help share information and move agendas forward. Some of the bills that we're tracking right now that you might be interested in include Senate Bill 273, which is in regards to governance. We talked about that bill with the Board of Trustees here a couple of weeks ago. There's a number of items in that bill that have to do with the size of the board, who's on it, how we select potential names to go forward for the Board of Trustees. And that's one that we're tracking very closely and working with folks on. Richard and I were on a work group over the summer and into the fall with some other universities and trustees and presidents and board secretaries, all trying to hash that out. There's a couple other interesting bills that you may have heard about. There's Senate Bill 424, which is in regards to withholding transcripts That one is expected to, it's passing out of the Senate and going over to the House. There may be some amendments we might be able to attach onto it, but that basically would set in place a rule that universities would not be able to withhold transcripts for students who owe the universities resources. It's something that is a bit of a challenge for the universities because of the resources that, especially funds that are owed to the university. It's usually one great way to try to connect with a student, get a payment plan in place or work with them. But I do know that Eastern, I just want to make sure to reiterate this because I know we've not withheld transcripts for job verification and for students to for a couple other reasons, as long as they get a hold of our registrar's office. So if you hear of anybody ever saying, oh, I can't get my transcript from Eastern, have them reach out to our registrar's office and contact them directly, like make a phone call or an email, because they will work with students to ensure they get it what they need. Another interesting bill is House Bill 2802, which is a pilot project where we'd be working on providing some really connecting interns to nonprofits in our region. And that offsets some of the cost to those students. They get a bit of a fee remission, and they would also get some support in getting their an hourly wage paid by those nonprofits. So there's a lot of nonprofits in the region, particularly like with our Rural Engagement Vitality Center that are working with our career services offices and others who could really benefit from this because there's just been so many folks who just haven't been able to invest or spend their time working at a nonprofit. So we've had some great support from organizations we connect with in Baker County, Wallowa County, and Union County, as well as other parts of the state to step in and say, yeah, this would really be helpful. And it's a great way to help get a student into an internship or an experiential learning opportunity where they can take that what they learn and those skills and take those on to jobs or graduate school. House Bill 3089, that's a homegrown one that came from our own student government a couple of years ago. And our student government has been actively involved in promoting that bill as well. This is called the Hunger Free Campus Bill. This would provide some resources for universities like ours and others and community colleges to develop or expand their food pantries and to address issues of food scarcity and hunger amongst students at their institutions. And then last but not least, there's a bill coming up. Actually, I think we have it tomorrow with Provost Seamers, who's going to be doing some testimony, maybe putting on his hat a little bit as a College of Education dean about some issues related to teacher licensure and some sunsetting of some timelines for charging fees to educator prep programs to get students licensed, so we can actually help clear more pathways to students to get into the job market, go from our education program into teaching throughout the region. And then finally, I'll wrap it up with capital funding. There's a big list of capital funds out there. However, the GRB, the governor's recommended budget, eats up most of that fund. It does include a pot of money in there for capital renewal and repair, which we would get a chunk of it at Eastern. We will continue to advocate for our project, which is Loso Hall Phase 2. That's a big project, and see if we can find some resources for it. But we're continuing to work that through with all the other universities and the governor's office to see if we can get some allocation of resources there. So that I can stop and either field some questions or, like I said, if you ever have any questions about any of those bills, feel free to shoot me an email.
Thank you, Tim. And now we're going to kick it over for our provost update. Matt, would you like to start us off?
Great. Thanks, Jeff. The first item I'd like to share is opportunity. I'm fortunate enough to get to head to Park City, Kansas with the EOU men's wrestling team. So I'll get to witness what an EOU event is like at the national level. I'm from Kansas. I'm from the Wichita area where I was once a teacher. And so I'll get to interact with many coaches that are in that area for possible recruiting opportunities for Dustin Azure and his team. And most of these coaches, I was their wrestling coach, seems like 100 years ago. So looking forward to leaving Thursday and coming back next week and hoping for the best for this team to kind of put us on the map and maybe a national ranking opportunity. Next, I'd like to talk about the College of Business Dean Search status. Thanks to the leadership of Darren Dudo, or Dr. Darren Dudo, as serving as the search chair. He's been doing a great job leading the search committee and helping it move forward. So we know that that's in progress and moving forward. The Dean of the Library, thanks to the leadership of Professor Ralston, leading a very solid search team. And so that work's underway and progressing. And so really good opportunities for us. But as you know, as we know more, we can share more, and hopefully we have some good outcomes for leaders to represent those units on this campus soon. Next, I'm going to be introducing Dr. Reza Jalane. Dr. Jalane is our instructional designer. He's been helping me with institutional research gaps and also data mining. He's also been working with Jeff Carmen and Jocko from IT as we kind of get to a deeper understanding of our enrollment data. And so I'll turn over the rest of my time to him so we can get an enrollment report in front of everyone here. And so Reza, please take it over and share your information with the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Siemers. So I'm going to show a few slides and just a brief report on the current status of our enrollment. Please bear with me as we are in transitions for the IR office leadership. So we are working as hard as we can to get the data that the campus, different offices across the campus need. And for today's, I'm just presenting some data, basically summarizing what's our enrollments for winter 2023, compare that with the previous term, and just one or two slides about the projections that we made for fall 2023. If I can share my screen. Yes. So this is the kind of visualizations that we created for winter 2023 4th week. As you can see, we have a total of close to 3,000 new enrollments total, with 58% female and 39% male. If you look on this document, I hope it's feasible enough for everyone so they can see the details on this document. I try to zoom in as much as I can. Some important data on this quick fact sheet is basically the total enrollments and the residency. About 72% are our students who are enrolled are residents, and 28% are non-residents, and 37% are from Eastern Oregon. Some good information here is about the popular undergrad majors. We have general studies exploratory at the top of our majors, interested to majority of our students. Business administration, health, and human performance are 3 top majors that we had enrollment for undergrad students. And full-time and part-time students pretty much were identical based on the percentage, as you can see on this pie chart. And for this document, I thought one piece of information is important to focus on, and that's the enrollment from fall 22 to winter 23. As you can see here on this comparison of the two graphs, the bar charts, we have pretty much higher enrollment for winter 23 in comparison to fall, which is great. I believe it's not even a comparison between the two fall terms, but it shows that our enrollment is picking up after that slope that we had during the COVID years. But I think our enrollment is picking up slowly but steady. For projections, we are thinking, I'm going to focus a little bit on this graph that shows our enrollment for fall 2018 toward 2022, and what's our projections for fall. So there are various models for projections that how our enrollment will look like in future, and we try to use the best models possible to make it as realistic as possible, in fact. So these are the, I would say, very realistic numbers that we are looking at here. As you can see, from 2018 toward 2022, of course, most of those years were during the COVID. So as you can see, there is a slope, but we are projecting, we pick up a little bit and improve the number of our total headcount for enrollments by 2023 fall. As you can see here, pretty much we will have 7% increase for undergrad on campus, and our undergrad off campus is pretty much consistent across the years, but we are expecting to have 2% increase. For our graduate students, it's pretty much consistent, not so much fluctuations for off-campus students, but for on-campus grad students, we are predicting we will have a 17% increase of our graduate students rate. So this is something that we are projecting for our fall 2023, but we're hoping that with new leadership in place, we will start working on our enrollments models, and with Provost Siemers to lead the enrollment, I think we will be able to gradually increase our enrollments overall numbers. Of course, the enrollment is a challenge across campus nationwide. So we are hoping we can work on this and look at what are the current trends and basically work on some models and practices that can improve our enrollments. Our intention is to have cross collaboration across the campus, various offices work together, so to make sure that the institution data is transparent and is useful for everyone, which overall contributes to institutional effectiveness. That was my last slide. Back to you, Provost Siemers.
Thank you, Dr. Jelaine. If you have questions, feel free to email me. We're getting into kind of an updated, newer process with institutional research. It's an exciting opportunity to explore and learn. There have been many teachable moments for Dr. Jelaine and I, and also it's been great working with Jeff Carmen and his team. They've been very helpful and getting us access. And I see you shaking your head, Reza, that it's kind of a team collaborative effort. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff.
Thank you, Provost Siemers and Reza. Appreciate it. Next up is our capital project update with our facilities director, John Garlitz. So John, would you like to take her over?
Yes, thank you very much, Jeff. Let's try to share my screen. There you go. Appreciate this time. This is our dead period. So but really we're busy trying to get ready for construction season. So just a real quick recap, since we last had the university update, the projects we've been completed is the anthropology tenant improvements, the field house is in use, and G Avenue pedestrian and ADA improvements are in use. Projects that we have ongoing we are still going to have to do G Avenue illumination. The lighting did not show up, and we need to do some lighting. And we are still doing some work on the north side of the field house with pet access. Those are items that were deferred till next year. We're also replacing the de-aeration tank at the central plant. We're replacing a steam main line from Hope to Quinn. Of course, we're doing the grand staircase and the Inlet Hall Phase 2 project. Field house update. So the physiology lab is up and running. Same thing with OAP, as well as the Move lab and the classrooms. So we're into the operational phase where we're under a very soft opening, which means the UU community uses it. We're using it for lab space, we're using it for classroom space, and we're working out the bugs. And there are a few bugs in this facility that we're continuing to work on, especially with HVAC. We're also have held 2 track meets, and those were successful. The track team is on its way right now to nationals, and Coach Welch tells me that they're taking the most to nationals, indoor nationals, than they ever have in his career. We're taking 24, 12 women and 12 men are on the way right now. And he credits the field house to a large part of that success. Here is a generic soft opening schedule. Basically, if you have an EOU ID card and it's active, you have access to the field house between the hours of really basically anywhere but 2 to 7 p.m. So if the OAP area is open, you'll just need your proximity card for the second door. If the OAP is not open, you could use your proximity card to enter the main door and then the second door. We will be opening to the public on April 3rd, and we're working out the nuances with that, as well as the different rec passes, and be setting up some hours for the public. Inlow Hall Phase 2 project. So we have completed preliminary investigation and schematic design. We're in the middle of design development, and we're onboarding a CMGC contractor. We're under procurement right now. We hope to receive proposals this week and go through them, rank them, bring them on board, and finalize the contract documents. They will be doing some constructability review, developing the final guaranteed maximum price. And in this project, we've worked with cabinet and the users, and we're in the process of getting ready to move out. We anticipate leaving the entire Inlow Hall offline from August of 2023 to August of 2024. And one of the reasons for that is, well, hold on a second. This is a good indication of some building envelope improvements that are needed for the Inlow Hall project. However, the biggest item is this is a seismic retrofit. So every wall you see in red has to be removed, and all the flooring you see in yellow has to be reinstalled. So we have to put sheathing, diaphragm flooring all over it for seismic. So basically, we have a clean slate on the second floor. And we are working with everybody to figure out how to move out, as well as what to build up. So the biggest thing here is noise. The disruption to the first floor will be significant. So what we've done is we've created a move out plan. Right now we're in the data gathering phase. We're ending that step right now. We're working with the groups to find out what the number of staff, if they have flex areas, do they need private or shared space, their document storage needs, any special accommodations. We've conducted an inventory of swing space. We have our inventory we think is pretty robust. However, we're meeting with the building coordinators to say, where are there extra areas that you might have? And some of them have come up with some spaces that we could utilize this next academic year. So I will be meeting with each group member to confirm that I understand what their needs are, go over the swing area locations, kind of obtain their first, second, and maybe third preferences of each group. Some other groups have started that already, especially student interfacing groups. We'll be analyzing the preferences, determining if there's overlaps and gaps, how to prioritize the service, students first, staff access second, and so on. We're working with cabinet and the project sponsor team, which is the executive leadership, to go over that analysis. Then we'll develop an initial plan, obtain the obtain the feedback from the cabinet, obtain feedback from each group again. We're going to iterate and tinker based on that feedback and come up with a finalized move out plan that we hope at least addresses everybody's critical needs. We're not going to be able to satisfy everybody. We're not that type of the campus where we are overbuilt such that we could just move one building into another building. Then we're going to be executing on that move out plan. So we're ending the data gathering phase. We're starting the confirmation of preferences. We'll be developing later, we'll be developing a move out plan. And so by the end of right before summer term starts, we'll be moving out. Grand staircase. We are into, this is the architect's holiday card they produced. So the goal is by their next holiday card, we were going to have them make sure they could take a picture of this for in December 2023, but not a rendering, but an actual picture of this. That said, we have obtained our archaeological and landmarks permit as of a couple of weeks ago. We're finalizing the bid documents and we're going to be starting bidding and contract procurement. We anticipate bidding on March 6th and hopefully have a contractor on board by the 27th of April. And we anticipate doing removal from May to June and the replacement from July 1st to around October 31st. Depending on productivity, and there's some architectural concrete that Sarah Hollenbeck knows a lot more than anybody here on campus, as well as, and so I'm very confident that she'll help make sure their production works, but we have a good quality product at the end of the day. Again, we are removing and replacing all of it. We are rebuilding the retaining walls, putting new footings in to meet seismic code, seismic standards, and reinforcing standards. So the goal is to have a grand staircase that will last 100 years. The other item we have is we have a capital renewal and replacement program. And what we do, most of that funding comes what the state calls capital improvement renewal, CIR 11Q bonds. And the last biennium, we got $3.2 million. The two bienniums before, we got $3.2 million. This last biennium, we got $3.2 million. The dates are a little bit off because it goes with the legislative request and approval, but we get that 21 to 23 allocation starting this May. We have 2 to 3 years to spend it. We like to spend it in 2 years. So we are working with the Budget and Planning Committee, whose bylaws are to advise, recommend priorities and matters related to physical facilities, the EU Campus Master Plan, capital construction request for legislative consideration as aligned with EU's mission and strategic plan. So right now we're working with the Budget and Planning Committee as well as building coordinators on a call and needs for projects. Thanks to IT, they were able to create my Google Sheets into a Google form that we've gotten about 70 requests. If you're out there and you still haven't requested or you see something else, please fill out that Google form. I will then be taking those needs and projects and placing them into where the funding allows. Some of those projects really are operation and maintenance items that we could attack now. Some of them are actual CR&R projects we could use the funding for. Some of them may be some great ideas, but they need to be built into capital projects in the future in the master plan update as well. I take those lists, I compare them with our current 19 to 21 prioritization list, which we're still working through. We had $3.2 million. We developed, last time we went through this process, we developed about $7.2 million worth of needs. And we still have a backlog. I will look those over, look at these prioritizations of this new call for needs and call for projects, determine get with budget and planning on their advice and recommendations. And then I will develop an initial list of prioritizations that I'll go to the Budget and Planning Committee with and executive leadership. Once we have feedback from the ELT and budget and planning, again, probably not everybody's going to get their priorities what they want, but we'll go ahead and take care of get our highest needs done. We'll start executing on those projects. Again, we have access to those funds in May. So we will start moving forward on those projects over the next 2 to 3 years. So I think that is it, all I have. If there's any questions, let me know, Jeff, or I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, I think we had two asking about the locations for people moving in loan. I know you're working on that, so
Yes. to be
I'm expecting an
determined. A lot of-
update on our spring term webinar, maybe.
Yes, more at 11.
Next up is Caitlin from ASUU. Caitlin, would you take it away?
Hi there. So ASEOU has been doing a lot this whole year. Right now on Thursday at 5 p.m., we are having our open house. It is a Jeopardy/trivia night for students to come and learn a little bit more about ASEOU, and we are having prizes. Some of our big projects that we are currently working on, we have met with Tim Seidel and the other True universities getting a True Day planned. That is anticipated to be in person in Salem this year, as far as COVID restrictions go. We are also currently working on a adopt a highway process. ASEOU is wanting to adopt a portion of a highway, build up the community bridge, and be able to give like community service hours to students, things about that nature. We are also currently planning our annual car smashing event that is going to be on June 2nd. We are currently trying to secure cars with that. And then we have a small little study night coming up. It'll be kind of like what the school does for the NAP programs. This one's going to be in the Learning Center, and we will have some of the tutors with us for students to come and get help. Any questions? If
Just a
not,
quick reminder, you all can use the Q&A button for questions. We'll go through those after our quick shared governance updates.
I'll give it back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Caitlin. Ashley Walker, the chair of Faculty Senate, apologizes, but she had to duck out for a 3 p.m. meeting. So she gave me the quick rundown to share with you all. Faculty Senate has been moving forward program changes and additions from EPCC, providing input to the Presidential Search Committee, and is reviewing the absence no-show policy. EPCC, in addition to the usual curriculum changes, revisions, and new program reviews, is looking at new software for change processes and forms. And the FPC is looking at a post-tenure review process and aspects of the Appendix B Senior Instructor 1 and 2. So thank you for that quick update. In terms of University Council updates, we're working on 2 decent sized projects and then a little bit of a time crunch that we're trying to get done before the May Board of Trustees meeting. First one is reviewing the data results from the Great Colleges to Work For survey in 2022. Hopefully be finalizing that here in the coming weeks. And also working with campus stakeholders responsible for recruitment and retention to update various KPIs of the 2029 Ascent and make recommendations to the board for that. So with that, that concludes our university updates for today. Beth Upshaw had a question. I'm not sure if we got the right people here, Beth, but I'll definitely get this forwarded on to the right person. Will the graduate scholarship also apply to all graduate degree programs? Currently, College of Business and Education, longstanding graduate programs have not received scholarships. And Tim, I'm not sure if we got the right people here or not, so let me know.
Yeah, I think I could answer that one, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Richard.
Like a lot of our scholarships, the donor directs the college or program that they're specifically interested in creating scholarships for. And so this is no different than that. that organization is interested in our Masters of Social Work and promoting that. And so they allocated the funds that they're contributing to scholarships for that degree. So the short answer is it's not for all graduate degrees, it's for that one.
Great. Thank you, Richard. One more question from Tricia and Caitlin. This might be for you. I'm not sure. What is the reasoning behind The Voice being defunded?
That would be a Drew question. He is the chair of the SFC committee. That is the student fee committee.
Okay, we'll get that question forwarded over to them and Tricia will get right back to you on that. Sorry.
Minutes should be published here within the next couple of days for the public to access.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. With that, it is 3 o'clock sharp. I want to thank everybody for attending the winter term university updates. Our next one will be in April for spring term. So thank you everybody for attending. Have a good day.